This is one of the most important pieces of legislation that the Senate has seen in years.
I hope it's dead on arrival. It is a total disaster on what they're trying to propose.
Don't just go off a Facebook post somewhere what the bill says. This dramatically changes asylum. It dramatically changes deportations.
The American people are done with this. The border has to be secured. The president has the authority right now. He doesn't need another act of Congress.
The Senate released details of the much-anticipated border and foreign aid bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer hailed the $118 billion deal. But House Republicans say that it will be dead on arrival because it doesn't go far enough on southern border security. Here to weigh in on the brawl over the border bill is my colleague and congressional reporter, Michael Schnell. Michael, so the House released a separate proposal. So what are your sources telling you about what's ahead this week as it relates to what's going on in the Senate and the House over this?
Yeah, Kevin, we're going to have a full-on showdown between the House and the Senate this week. Over on the Senate side, as you mentioned, we're seeing lawmakers barrel ahead with that $118 billion national security supplemental that includes the long-awaited border security deal. That already coming under some heavy criticism from conservative and even some progressive lawmakers. Over on the House side, though, as you mentioned, Speaker Johnson this weekend announced that this week the House would be moving on a standalone Israel aid bill, about $17 billion, separate from Ukraine aid and border security, essentially saying that the time has come that politics needs to be put to the side and we need to move on Israel aid. But there's Israel aid in the Senate package. So the thought is that the House can maybe jam the Senate if the House is able to get this over the finish line, which I'll note there are some serious questions about that with some Republicans and Democrats casting doubt on the legislation. So essentially it's the House and Senate racing to see who can pass something first and then see how the other chamber responds.
On foreign affairs, the U.S. launched 85 strikes against Iran-backed militant groups in Iraq and Syria over the weekend. Here's National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Meet the Press over the weekend.
We intend to take additional strikes and additional action to continue to send a clear message that the United States will respond when our forces are attacked.
What's reaction been like on Capitol Hill to President Biden's response?
Yeah, Kevin, it's been pretty split and pretty partisan, Democrats versus Republicans. Democrats backing up the president, saying that he responded with force. You mess with the United States, you should be expecting to respond. Different sense of matters on the Republicans. Something from Speaker Mike Johnson over the weekend following those strikes. He wrote in a statement, quote, "Unfortunately, the administration waited for a week and telegraphed to the world, including to Iran, the nature of our response." Casting doubt and criticizing the president's response for waiting so long after those 3 U.S. service members were killed, and in the speaker's eyes, telegraphing moves to Iran. So again, a partisan and very along party lines response to those strikes over the weekend.
Partisan on the messaging, but the fact of the matter is the overwhelming majority of lawmakers in both caucuses are supportive of the United States responding against the terrorist groups for their increased strikes in the Middle East. Is that a correct assessment?
Yeah, I mean, if you come against the United States is going to respond. That's, of course, the position of U.S. lawmakers. But again, because we're in an election year, everything seems to be politicized these days. We did see some Republicans ribbing the president for the pace at which that response came and how it essentially came to fruition.
And there was a bipartisan showing at Dover Air Force Base on Friday night when President Biden had attended the dignified transfer of the fallen 3 American heroes who lost their lives the other week as a result of, again, those drone attacks. But to see the Georgia delegation, all 3 of the sergeants who lost their lives were from Georgia. And in addition to that, to see the Delaware senators as well, including Senator Chris Coons, the First Lady was present as well, to attend that. Powerful, somber images coming out of that dignified transfer. It is one of the most sobering traditions in the United States for any commander-in-chief to oversee Republican or Democrat. So that's what's happening abroad. Let's bring it back here in the United States. Nevada has a caucus and a primary this week. I don't want to get too into the weeds, but only the caucus on Thursday will award the winner-take-all 26 delegates, likely going to be the front-runner, former President Donald Trump. Nikki Haley is not on the caucus ballot because Trump GOP forces had moved the rules. She says it's rigged. She will be on the ballot for the Nevada primary, which is 2 days earlier, but that literally is only happening because of the state's law. So there's a twofer for you, Schnell. Why is Nevada such a mess, and is Trump world worried at all about underperforming?
Kevin, this is straight out of Veep, right? They say in Washington, sometimes you say days that are like Veep, days that are like West Wing. This is totally Veep. You have two candidates running against each other, but in different contests, and only one of those contests count. Very funny. So over in Nevada, essentially, as you mentioned, there's going to be the caucus and the primary. The primary will not actually count. You're not going to get any delegates from the primary, but the caucus is what's going to count. And as you laid out above, Donald Trump is on the ballot for the caucus. Nikki Haley is on the ballot for the primary. So Donald Trump is going to walk away a winner from the Nevada contest, right? Because he's the one who is going to be getting the delegates, and that is what really matters in the race to the GOP nomination. We could maybe see Nikki Haley making a messaging play, if she has a large handful of individuals come out for her in that primary. But again, Donald Trump isn't on the ballot, so it's going to be a little tough to message there. Is Trump concerned about turnout? I mean, I think this could be cut both ways. On one hand, they want to have a robust turnout so they can use that in their messaging and say, hey, look, voters are galvanized or excited about voting for me. But at the other side of it, if he doesn't actually end up having a strong turnout, he's still the winner because, again, he's still the only one who's going to be walking away with those delegates. So at the end of the day, large turnout or not, it's a good night for Donald Trump.
Well, as rough for Nikki Haley, she still can't convince him to go on a debate stage. I mean, the closest that she's come is Saturday Night Live. Did you see this over the weekend? Here's Haley on a surprise appearance on SNL.
Are you doing okay, Donald? You might need a mental competency test.
You know what I did? I took the test and I aced it, okay? Perfect score. They said I'm 100% mental.
She's really... she is really not letting up on Trump, is she?
Yeah, not at all. And this was funny. I'm a big SNL fan, so I love it when it really gets the politics involved. But let's just take a look at actually what else Nikki Haley was doing here. She was in Donald Trump's home state, or I guess Florida's his home state now, but the place where he grew up as a real estate tycoon in New York City at the show that Donald Trump has actually hosted in the past. He hosted it once in 2004. When he was with The Apprentice, and again in 2015 when he was running. Nikki Haley was in Donald Trump's backyard dishing jabs at him from 30 Rock, from Saturday Night Live. I mean, this was, on one hand, it was, the criticism was funny, but it also goes deeper to who Donald Trump is because, again, it has New York, it has SNL. So this was a really skillful move by the Haley campaign. And I think that, of a lot of things that the two have sparred over, I bet you this one got on her skin a little bit more than usual.
You know what, I will say this. Lorne Michaels, if you're watching, my dream job is to be an anchor of Weekend Update. Michael Schnell.
That's what I used to say.
Well, I still say it, Schnell. Thank you so much for joining us. Michael Schnell, the Hill's congressional reporter. Great reporting as always.
We'll do it together. We'll do it together, Kevin.
Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell says the interest rates will likely remain unchanged in March. In an interview with CBS News 60 Minutes that aired on Sunday, Powell signaled no additional rate cuts will come next month, and he explained why the Fed is so wary of slashing rates too soon.
You could, or you could just halt the progress. I think more likely, if you move too soon, you'd see inflation settling out somewhere well above our 2% target.
Did you catch the Grammys last night? How could you miss it? Taylor Swift won Album of the Year for Midnights. Fans celebrated an appearance by Celine Dion, who has been open about her public battle with stiff person syndrome. It was really awesome to see her looking so happy and healthy. Tracy Chapman made a rare performance of her iconic hit, Fast Car. She performed it with country star Luke Combs. No Gen Z, Luke Combs did not write Fast Car, Tracy Chapman did. Joni Mitchell performed for the first time at the Grammys, and Billy Joel performed a new song. Miley Cyrus, she won her first 2 Grammys for her hit Flowers. It was honestly one of the best Grammy awards that I've seen. It was very entertaining. But rap legend Jay-Z made sure to defend his wife, as he should, Beyoncé.
I don't want to embarrass this young lady, but she has more Grammys than everyone and never won Album of the Year. So even by your own metrics, that doesn't work.
For what it's worth, by my metrics, it was a very entertaining award show and gave us lots to talk about. Usually they're schmooze, not gonna lie. Usually I fall asleep early. But that's it for today's Daily Debrief. My name is Kevin Cirilli. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to The Hill's YouTube channel and come back here soon for the intersection between politics and policy.